morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the EU Cyber Forum. It is my pleasure to introduce the sessions today. My name is Gustav Lindström. I'm the director of the EU ISS, and I am joined here by the High Representative of the Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Vice President of the Commission, Dr. Josep Borrell, who will be giving a keynote speech in just a few moments. But let me just introduce the forum. For those of you who are not familiar with the EU Cyber Forum, it is a platform to share and really showcase the EU's policies in the broader realm of digital and cyber policy. But it is also a very good opportunity to share best practices, to talk about different initiatives in different countries. And unfortunately, this year, we cannot meet in person as we did last year. There's actually maybe one silver lining because of that, and that is that we have a very strong participation online. Indeed, we have over 650 participants who have registered to this event, who will be joining us over the life of this event until Thursday, and over 100 countries represented. So a fantastic opportunity to hear from other country representatives, civil society, about some of the issues in cyber and digital policy. Just to set the frame for the EU Cyber Forum this year, it is a very different context. It is a lot has happened over the last year, and of course for the EU itself, there have been lots of changes. First of which is, of course, the change in the political leadership of the EU institutions. And as you know, we now have a Geopolitical Commission. And one of the flagship projects is indeed the idea of digital transformation. So the EU is really putting a lot of emphasis on this policy arena, and is indeed building on a lot of the strategies and documents that have come out very recently. For example, the digital strategy that came out in November of 2018. And of course, there is the May 2019 EU Autonomous Cyber Sanctions Regime. And I think if we look at this year alone, in February of 2020, we had a new data strategy that came out, and we also had an EU white paper on European approaches to AI. So a lot of work still to be done in this area, and hopefully we will have an opportunity for exchanges on that. Also, it is important to note that it's not just the EU that has been very active in this arena. We have also seen a lot of activity worldwide, and of course one of the factors is COVID-19 and how we have had to change the way in which we operate, how we share information, how we try to understand the validity of information. And we have seen initiatives coming in different parts of the world. At the same time, we have UN processes that are ongoing with the UN governmental group of experts. We'll have the chairperson, Ambassador Patriota, speaking here. We also have the open-ended working group. But just to give some examples, just in August, the United States announced the expansion of its Clean Network Initiative with 5 new lines of efforts. And just this month, China has put forward has proposed a global initiative on data security to contribute to thinking on the governance of cyberspace. So for that reason, the EU Cyber Forum is going to be a good opportunity for us to discuss different areas. You will have seen in the program, we will be talking about cyber resilience, cyber diplomacy, cybercrime, a topic that has been with us for a long, long time, but even about accountability in cyberspace. And I wish that participants, even though this will be an online event, take the opportunity to engage to the extent possible, to share their experiences, to pose their questions, to be active. And we have so many participants that will be joining us at different points in time that I think that that should be quite possible. Before I give the floor to our keynote speaker, I do need to say a word of thank you. I want to very much thank the partners of EU Cyber Direct, SNV, and the GMF, but also colleagues within the EU ISS who have been extremely active in preparing the event here today and over the next few days. And I also want to acknowledge our EU partners, EU institutional partners, the External Action Service, of course, the European Commission, the EU Cybersecurity Agency, and the European Cybercrime Centre. And of course, I should also like to acknowledge the contributions of the Foreign Policy Instruments for its generous support. So without further ado, I now would like to pass the floor to our keynote speaker, High Representative and Vice President of the European Commission, Dr. Josep Borrell. As the EU's diplomat-in-chief, this is, of course, an area where you are involved and have a lot to both think about and say. And we're very, very pleased that you can join us here today. And you will be giving a keynote speech to basically kick off the EU Cyber Forum. And you will be speaking on cyber diplomacy and the shifting geopolitical landscape. So with this, again, thank you very much for joining us, and the floor is yours. Please, Josep.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here with you this morning. This is the kind of things that are very important to do, not only a honor, a pleasure, but an intellectual opportunity to learn more about these new threats we are facing. It is a big honor to open this second edition of the Cyber Forum, and I hope that they will have more opportunities during my mandate. This is a unique platform to show the European Union efforts in the area of cyber and digital policies, but also to learn from the best practices of our partners that participate in this event. And I want to thank you and all the organizations involved. I know this has been truly an European team effort, and that's good, that here also it's the European institutions, the European member states all together who deliver this event. Allow me to say something about cyber issues from a geopolitical perspective. It's very much fashion to talk from a geopolitical perspective nowadays. And we need to look at what is going on around us and prepare ourselves accordingly in a world arena which is essentially characterized by a set of 5 or 6 features. Allow me to mention them. First, there is an unprecedented competition between states. We are living more and more in a world of power politics. Second, we live in a multipolar world, but without effective multilateralism. We see rising powers demanding a greater say and a US withdrawal from the multilateral system that it helped to build. And the strategic competition between US and China, I'm afraid, is having a paralyzing effect in the UN Security Council, in the G20, in the WTO, the Health Organization, and elsewhere. What do we see is more and more disagreements and vetoes. Third, we live in a world where interdependency is becoming more and more conflictual, and where soft power is being weaponized. Trade, technology, data, information are becoming more and more instruments of political competition. Fourth, we see a broader trend with some countries seem to follow a logic of, let's say, the word empires. They behave like empires. They have been in the past, and they are behaving more and more like this in the present. What do I mean by that? Well, they only recognize the sovereignty of the states and not the sovereignties of the people. They think and argue in terms of historical rights and zones of influence, not agreed rules and local consent. And finally, the fifth characteristic is the world risks becoming less free and more unequal. Democracy and human rights, which is our political model here in Europe, are contested. Some are not shying at all in exploiting these dynamics, and in the digital domain and elsewhere, there is a real battle of narrative going on. The narrative has become also a powerful tool in order to build the power, the influence on the geopolitical landscape. In short, our security environment is getting worse. Everywhere we look, we see rivalries, apart from US and China, with technology as a major fault line, and cyber are the new domain. The pressure on Europe to choose sides is also growing. And I think that as we, European Union, we should follow our own approach and avoid being instrumentalized by one or the other. We should continue to stand for multilateral solutions and search common grounds. All that applies to the cyber world as well. We know that the world is becoming more digital, but at the same time more state-driven. So a key question appears: how and who will govern these digital networks? Who will set the global rules and standards? And linked to this, can Europe remain a technological norm setter if it is not also a technological leader? We have been, we still are a technological leader. This has provided us with the capacity of being a norm setter. But the question is, are we going to be able to continue doing so? I think this is the wider context in which Europe should define its approach to cyber issues. And how can we use the enormous benefit of our digital age in terms of growth, knowledge, and freedom? But also, how can we protect our model of society from cyber threats and support others to do so? Let's say some ideas about that. Well, cyber issues are geopolitical and have a strong security dimension. You know that better than anyone else for your work. And both state and non-state actors are using cyberspace and the internet for manipulation, disruption, fraud, extortion, data theft, or money laundering. There is all of that. Everyone will remember the cyber attacks like WannaCry, which affected over 200,000 computers in 150 different countries worldwide and cost an estimated $4 billion. Or they have heard about the staggering problem of cyber-enabled theft of commercially sensitive data of companies. The internet has also become an arena for geopolitical battles and the spread of disinformation. Some states are increasingly using it to limit liberties and advance their ideological goals. And at various stages of the COVID crisis, we have seen on Facebook and other social media disinformation campaigns with examples from China, Russia, and others that we have been recording. As part of this battle or narrative, some try to portray themselves as the saviors of an European Union in need, while denigrating our democratic system as failing in its own citizens. Well, but cyber threats is much more than disinformation campaigns, much more dangerous. Cyber attack can leave a country crippled within seconds. Think of the electricity blackouts in Ukraine in 2015 and 2016, or the attacks that stopped people from accessing their own money account in Estonia in 2007, 30 years ago. We see governments and political systems being destabilized through cyber attacks and electoral interference. The case of the 2016 US election is the one that is more evident, more talked about, and there are indications that it may happen again in the next month. But we know also about this threat in Europe. There have been cyber attacks against the Macron campaign, the German Bundestag, and other parliaments and ministries across Europe. Even here, the European Union institutions, we are not exempted. This is unfortunately our today's reality. Ladies and gentlemen, in recent years, the European Union has put a strong emphasis on strengthening our cyber resilience. We have adopted the Directive on Security of Networks and Information Systems and the Cybersecurity Act. We are also working on the cyber defense as part of the European Union's common security and defense policy. Our member states working together under PESCO have established 4 cyber projects, including rapid response teams to help countering cyber attacks. We at the EU, we are at the forefront in tackling the security challenges posed by the deployment of the 5G networks. This year we have adopted the joint toolbox of mitigating measures agreed by European Union member states to enable them to address the security risk related to 5G. On other emerging technologies, we are also working on establishing an European approach on artificial intelligence and robotics to deal with the technological, ethical, legal, and socioeconomic aspects. But beyond strengthening our own cyber resilience, it is the European DNA to prioritize cooperation and dialogue. We will always stand for international law and the work in the United Nations on norms of responsible state behavior. We are guided by our values and fundamental rights, freedom of expression and the right to privacy or the protection of personal data. However, some actors are undermining this important work, not just of the EU, but also the achievements of the whole international community. They keep exploiting cyberspace without accountability, and we have to fight against it. Since 2017, here at the European Union, we have built a comprehensive cyber diplomatic toolbox. Its aim is to prevent data and respond to malicious behavior in cyberspace. And one of these tools is the autonomous cyber sanction regime, which was adopted last year. Thanks to this sanction regime, it is possible to apply restrictive measures to persons and entities involved in significant cyber attacks that threaten the European Union, its member states, regardless of nationality or location of the perpetrator. A few weeks ago, just on the end of July, we decided to make use of this sanction regime for the first time. I think it's important to notice it. We use it for the first time by imposing travel bans and asset freezes against 6 individuals and asset freezes against 3 entities. These individuals and entities have been involved in cyber attacks known as WannaCry, NotPetya, and Operation Cloudhopper, targeted against companies located in the European Union, or the attempt cyber attack against the Organization of the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons in Hague. These targeted measures will ensure that those individuals and entities will be accountable for their actions, and in doing that, we send a message to the world that we have the tools to protect ourselves and to resolve to use them. Ladies and gentlemen, we know we are not alone in this. We have many like-minded partners with whom we cooperate, and we are cooperating in concrete ways. We have invested significantly in capacity building, on cyber resilience and cybercrime. Just to give 2 concrete examples. In April 2019, Sri Lanka suffered serious terrorist attacks, known as the 2019 Sri Lanka Easter bombing. More than 250 people were killed and hundreds injured. It was a national emergency, where electronic evidence was needed from a range of services providers instantly. And on the basis of Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, there was an immediate international assistance for a number of countries, and Sri Lanka was able to successfully gather the necessary electronic evidence to pursue investigations. We have another recent example, the recent Memorandum of Understanding that we have signed with the Dominican Republic that will help develop their national cyber resilience and strengthening their computer security incident response team. They act as a kind of cyber firefighters to detect and recover from cyber incidents. The list can continue, but time is short, and I would like to conclude saying that we want everyone to reap the benefits that the internet and the use of technologies provide. This is a fantastic set of opportunities, and we would like that everyone could reap the benefits of these technological developments. But at the same time, we need effective answers to fast-changing cyber threats. Achieving both objectives will be at the heart of our new European Union cybersecurity strategy that is foreseen for this autumn. We know we count on the support of our global partners, and they can count on us, because only by acting together we can safeguard the open, secure, and safe cyberspace that all of us want and need, that belongs to all of us, and it has to be one of the most important common public goods for the humankind. I am sure that this conference will contribute to this purpose. I wish you a very successful work. Thank you very much for organizing it and for inviting me to deliver the keynote speech.
Well, on behalf of everybody, I would like to thank you, HRVP Borrell, Dr. Borrell, for joining us, but also for your intervention. You have very clearly indicated the multifaceted challenges that we need to deal with when we talk about cyber and digital policies. But you have also outlined some of the opportunities and the fact that we need to find that balance between the two. But thank you again for highlighting some of the activities that are on the agendas of policymaking, and I am sure that we will have opportunities to discuss this further during the week. So thank you again, and just to everybody to note that we will, during the week, highlight some of the EU policies in the cyber and digital domains, some of the key projects, but also we'll have opportunities to learn about best practices from others. So with this, thank you very much again, and we will have a short health break, and we'll come back according to the agenda. Thank you again.